And it is time to head out to the Toyota of Hollywood hotline. Shop over 2,000 Toyotas on sale at one location. Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. ToyotaofHollywood.com, Joe.
All right, Woody, thank you so much. And Alan Fertel, sports and entertainment attorney that I have known for a long time, including some of my own issues through the years in radio. Alan, how you doing this morning?
Joe, it's been a minute. How you doing? Staying out of trouble?
Yeah, I'm much better. I've really mellowed out. I got away from a couple of the old guys who used to get in trouble all the time in the old days. So we're good there, brother. We're doing all right. Hey, I got to ask you the big thing for University of Miami and the importance of quarterbacks, this Darian Mensah situation, the Duke quarterback in the transfer portal, all this talk about lawsuits and all these other issues. Will Miami end up getting him, or is this thing going to get too sticky, and is he going to stay? What happens from here?
Well, my crystal ball says that Miami is going to take a bunch of their money that they got from the national championship game, put it in the wheelbarrow, send it over to Durham, have a mediation between the two athletic directors, pay a lot of money, and I think the kid is going to be in the green and orange.
Yeah, that's interesting because you could be talking – man, I'm looking if it's a $4 million deal with Duke and he's going to want more to come here, you could be looking at $10 million.
10 to 15. They're in a bind. Before we talk about the litigation, Miami doesn't have a plan B. Their second-team quarterback just transferred to East Carolina. They'll have to go with either a freshman that'll be a sophomore next year, or you get somebody off the portal, but now you're getting scraps. But scraps are worth $2 million, so that's not such a bad scrap anymore.
No, you're right.
So let me set the table for you on the litigation, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Mensah is a quarterback at Duke. On January 21st, he was temporarily enjoined from taking steps towards transferring to another university after Duke filed a lawsuit for breach of contract. A judge, Michael Fogluda, in Durham County Superior Court, allowed him to enter into the portal, but he's prohibited from enrolling at any institution. He's barred from playing football at another institution, and he can't license his name, image, and likeness to any other school through December 31st, 2026, because he signed a 2-year, $8 million contract, and they're trying to hold him to the contract. The hearing on an injunction was set for February 2nd, but Darren Heitner and now local counsel, how y'all doing, in North Carolina, has got the hearing set for Thursday, the 29th. So that's setting the table. The judge, aside, the judge recused himself after issuing the TRO because he is a Duke booster, a season ticket holder, and his wife is a librarian at Duke.
Okay.
So that's what we got going on here, Joe.
Wow.
Ask away. Go ahead.
All right, so I got to ask you, a 2-year contract. Most people hear that. I've had a bunch of people last few days who are going, well, if Darian Mensah's got a contract with Duke, like everybody else, if you have a contract, you can't leave. You can't break it. So how is he going to be able to break this when you hear usually sports contracts, you have to stick with them?
This is a hybrid. It's an NIL contract with employment overtones. It's got what's called a restrictive covenant or a non-compete in it. And this is sort of the first time. I think the Duke lawyers did a real good job in trying to stop the free agency in college sports. Now, you know, the transfer portal is wide open. When we were back in the day, I'm not going to say old, but back in the day,
right,
if you transferred, you sat a year, and that dissuaded a lot of athletes. Now, because of litigation, actually another case, it was the Ohio, West Virginia versus NCAA case. You can be a free agent. You can play tomorrow. And that's the key. So you add that to the NIL, and it's the perfect storm. So what we've got here is very, very interesting. The contract terms, there's exclusivity. Duke claims they've got a grant for 2 years, now a year from now, through December 31st, 2026, for higher education in football. He cannot play for any other school, and he can't allow his NIL to be used by any other school. There's non-compete. That's the issue, which is like an employment deal. Usually you have non-competes in either an employment contract or the sale of a business. This is neither. This is not an employment contract. It's an NIL deal that has employment overtones, and that's where things get sticky. There's confidentiality and there's contract restrictions. Here's how it applies to Mensah and his reps were reportedly prohibited from initiating any contact with other schools, staff, and required notification to Duke of any what they call external communications. So they couldn't go directly or indirectly to Miami, but somehow Miami's involved in this, and we'll go through that. There's no buyout clause in this contract, and it requires arbitration. But they have to go to court to force arbitration and get an injunction and get a temporary restraining order, which they have right now. The injunction hearing is, I said, the 29th. Duke's got some good arguments. They say, hey, like you said, a contract means something. A contract is a contract. We paid this guy $4 million. Hello, that's not, that's real jack.
Yeah.
There's right. They claim irreparable harm. That's a legal term, but there's an issue with that because really this is about money. Money will make the harm go away. So I don't know that they're going to get this injunction. They say they got the exclusive NIL rights for 2 years, and it's in arbitration. Mensah's arguments are that he's a student, not an employee. So when you stick a restrictive covenant in there, you're treating him like an employee. And if you're an employee, Joe, and you know this versus independent contractor, you've got to pay benefits, you got to take taxes out. There's going to be some real issues if the court at some time, which I don't think it's ever going to get to, finds him to be an employee because he's a student, not an employee. At least that's what the NCAA wants. You've got this distinction between NIL versus employment contracts. And as I said, there's adequate monetary damages. He has a cap on the damages that he would have to pay of $4 million because he's already received that money. So they can't harm him by suing him for like $16, $17 million.
Right.
They can only harm him for $4 million and sit his butt down, which is the greater harm. So that's where it's set up. I think that what we got here, and I've said this for years, I'm repeating myself. This is the wild, wild west. There's no case law on it. So everyone can do what they want. That's why Duke and their lawyers are being so aggressive because they're trying their best to find a way to stop this free flow of free agency in college sports.
Darian Mensah.
That's it.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
No, you go now. It's your turn.
Hey, Darian Mensah must have known when he decided to get out of this contract. He must have had legal advice to go, we're getting in a mess here, but somebody must have said, but we can get it done. Is that probably what happened? I can't think he went blind into this.
No, Darren Heitner is his lawyer, and he's a real good lawyer in the NIL space and with athletes. He's a colleague of mine. He's smart enough to go to North Carolina and get local counsel because, like I said, that's state court in North Carolina, and he's a Miami kid. That doesn't play well.
No.
So they look, this is not this kid has got, when I say kid, I'm sorry. Messner's got money. He's just pocketed $4 million, so he can afford really good local counsel, someone who may know the new judge, whose name is Judge Ed Wilson. I don't know much on him. I haven't done the scouting report on him. Joe, it's crazy when just quarterbacks, just for a second. Check this out. Josh Hoover is headed from TCU to Indiana. Who's your backup? Alberto Mendoza is headed to Georgia Tech.
Right.
Their backup, who graduated, is going to be DJ Lagway, who's a Florida kid, and now he's at Baylor. This is like quarterbacks gone wild. All of these first team quarterbacks. This isn't some kid sitting on the bench thinking he's not getting his shot.
Right.
He goes, these are, and look at the perfect case is the Heisman Trophy winner. Look at what Indiana did. They bought themselves a quarterback. They bought themselves a lineman. They bought themselves a linebacker. And with respect, they bought themselves a national championship. So the model works. And then you go back to us, right? We did this. Like, this is our third run at this. First had Cam Ward. And then after Cam, we went and almost won a national title.
Yeah, that's right.
We almost won. I mean, Carson Beck, great year. The best year we've had in 25. I was wearing my 2001 championship shirt praying that he wouldn't chuck the interception, but I sort of thought he would. To be God's honest, I just had that feeling, but I'm getting far away from the law for a moment. But UM's right there. So let me tell you the UM slant. UM is guilty of, if this is correct, I'm sorry, allegedly, UM is guilty of what's called tortious interference with contractual relationships. And that's why the UM has got to go in there with a boatload, because it's not just paying for Mensah's contract, and it's not just paying Mensah a really strong, and it's a crazy enhanced NIL deal that I heard was offered. But it's bigger than that, man. It's like the UM somehow got to this kid, like you said. It didn't just like materialize in the air. Somebody got somebody's ear. Somebody said they're interested, and the next thing you know, UM is going to be, if this thing plays out, in my mind, a defendant for tortious interference, and they've already tortiously interfered, or allegedly, with Xavier Lucas, the kid that got
from Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. He sat the first half of the Natty, played the second half, and he played for us this year because they didn't enjoin him when he left. He left, and now UM's getting sued for tortious interference. So this could be the second case that UM is alleged to have tortiously interfered with an NIL deal.
So
let's go.
We're getting word right now that just Woody, what do we have coming in here real quickly?
It says that Duke and Darian Mensah have reached a settlement, and he is free to enroll at a new institution.
There you go.
All right. Wow. So enough about the law, because what could have happened here.
Wow.
No, it's great. It's great because you know what's coming next. The wide receiver, him. He's got 2 years.
Hey,
Joe,
forget the legal stuff. I'm with you, brother. We're getting another receiver with it.
No, it's a package deal, man. Come on.
He is the Duke receiver. His top guy's coming. There's no question about it.
He knows his patterns. He knows his tendencies, and we've got a nice receiving corps. You know, we've got a good bunch of receivers. You saw that.
Yes.
So, but let me take it to where it was before you just told me that news. The issue here is there's no case law. The way case law is created is you have a trial, the judge makes a ruling, you appeal the ruling, the appellate court writes an opinion, and all of a sudden there's instruction to the rest of the world about a case, and there's called precedent and stare decisis. And that way there's some rules out there, because right now, I'm saying the words again, it's crazy. It's the wild, wild west. Nobody anticipated that there would be a transfer portal at the same time as NIL, and both of those together create this free agency where, hey, these kids are making pro-jack. Pro-jack. Okay, the Benjamins are strong right now for quarterbacks and linemen and linebackers. It's nuts. This is not what we had anticipated when we said we hate the NCAA for taking advantage of these kids.
Hey, Alan, I got to tell you, I laughed because Woody predicted in the other room this was going to happen. I said, they get 50, 100 maybe. I never saw. We're going to have quarterbacks making $7-8 million this year. There's probably going to be a guy in Oregon. There's going to be some guys around the country, a guy in Texas making big, big money. Hey, I got to let you run, Alan. Thank you so much, man. It was great getting caught up and not talking about my legal issues with radio, so thank you.
Joe, I love you. Thank you for having me on. I love your listeners. Let's go UM, baby.
Yeah, I love those colors you have on there today. Alan Fertel joining us. Talk about the situation as it's just breaking now that Darian Mensah looks like he's free to get down here and get that deal. What the timing, Woody? That's unbelievable. That just break?
Yeah, it did actually.
That's crazy. Yeah. That is absolutely
How about that?
crazy.
Right in the middle of that interview.
Man, that's beautiful. Well, I'll tell you, from quarterbacks to staying healthy and talking about Baptist Health South Florida.